Welcome to the next perfect step. I'm Lori Tremblay.
And I'm Kim McStay. And today's topic of conversation is one that I'm really interested in. I'm sure a lot of our listeners will be. A lot about finances. And with all the chaos and everything that's going on in the world and the financial collapses and et cetera, my brother here, who I'm going to introduce in a second, is going to help us with this topic. And he's incredibly intelligent when it comes to all of this financial stuff. He's been researching it for a very long time, and he's fascinating to listen to. I don't have a clue half the time what he's saying, but he'll try to explain it and break it down for us. So introducing Chuck McStay, my brother, has a BS degree in economics, management, and marketing. He is a co-founder of Beings on Purpose, and their mission is to encourage and facilitate the rise in global consciousness along with humankind's ascension with Gaia into the 5D. Chuck, welcome to the podcast.
Back.
Yes, thank you.
Back, that's right, yes.
Yeah. Before.
Yes.
Yes, this is great. Thank you very much for having me back. And I've watched every single one of your episodes.
Aw,
It's
that's
fantastic.
great.
There's something to take away from every single one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's great. So to get started, what would you like to tackle first in this?
Well, first, since we're going to
Confusing.
talk about finances, I'd like to let everyone know that I am not a financial advisor. Everything that I have accumulated over time has been for my own curiosity. And you can take or leave some of the things I say because I have a different perspective based on whatever the source of my information and how it combines with other sources. So that's that.
Well, you can also talk about the future of
Yes.
money and what's coming,
Mhm.
because I think a lot of people, including myself, are interested in that.
Yeah.
But don't know much about it. So
Yeah, it's we can demystify it.
yeah.
Oh, I like that. Demystify it. Yeah. So good luck with that because it seems very, very complicated to me. But, talking with you outside of the podcast too, I just think it's so valuable for, people to gain an understanding of how the money system got to where it is now and why it has to change in order for things to work. So could you kind of touch on that, like maybe even the history of how we got here?
Sure. I mean, if we go back far enough, the current banking system was started in the late 1300s in Rome and expanded another 50 years past that. But it's pretty much the same construct where people put the money in and then they take that percentage of that and they lend it out and make money on that. And then they get returns and investment returns on that. But it hasn't really changed a whole lot. It's there's countries that have kind of branched off. There's been many different types of monetization and remonetization. There's been over 800 resets, and a reset is basically when that financial system finally collapses because they debase the money. Eventually, you have to reset it. And virtually every single reset involves some sort of anchoring with gold and oftentimes silver. And so that's pretty much the old foundation, and that goes hundreds of years. It's been in the case.
Is that like a repeated cycle?
It is. It's a repeated cycle, and it's because people in charge like to be in control. And so they take that control to ever further degrees, and finally it collapses.
Okay.
Because everyone in control likes to be Santa Claus. That's how they keep people happy. and it only lasts for so long. So that's pretty much the basis of our entire financial system. What's happened in recent years is there's been a more global approach as opposed to village and then kind of fiefdoms. So it's expanded now, and it's now all basically under one control. And you have a central banking system that we're all so familiar with because we heard about it. But there's a whole construct and a whole rules-based order that goes along with that. And it basically started in Rome, and then a lieutenant base was created in Switzerland, and then there's a big contingent that goes out and makes sure that everything happens and everything stays in control out of the British system. And it's a big octopus, if you kind of look at it that way. What they did was they created institutions that sound very important, like the Bank of International Settlements. That's the central bank of all central banks. Then they have the World Bank and the IMF and the International Monetary Fund, and on and on and on. And they create all these organizations that give it credibility, but essentially it's the same thing. It's control through money. And they've expanded that to some 10,000 organizations that are NGOs and kind of like these foundations where they take people out of scholarship programs and plug them in place and make them feel real important. And then what they do is they kind of reinforce through even more tentacles all around the globe that this whole system actually works. And money is only money if everybody agrees it's money.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's like the big part of all this. It's a belief system.
Well, and I mean, you're taking paper and saying this is worth such and such. So that's, to me, that's a concept that it's like, really, what?
Well,
But,
paper isn't
yeah.
a bad thing. It's an easier thing to work with,
Right.
rather than carrying big bags around with you.
Absolutely. But I mean, like you said, money's only money if everybody
Everybody
agrees.
agrees. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question though. There was when we were together talking at one point, and you talked about like the central banking system and like the middleman thing. Like I loved the way you explained that, like where our money goes to.
Oh, sure.
And then after that, in case I forget, I really want to also talk about how the awakening of how we're all doing
Mhm.
has affected the banking system and what that means in the future.
Yes, congratulations, everyone. It's working. It's working. Keep it going.
Yay, we're all waking up.
Yeah. So
Remembering.
the central bank construct is based on fractional reserve lending. So every unit of value or dollar, let's call it, is loaned into existence. And then you have I'm losing my train of thought already. What happened? So it's fractional reserve lending, and I don't know. I'm trying to blank all of a sudden.
You're just, going into the awakening stage.
I know. You caught me with the awakening. Hey, wait a minute. I wrote notes. Where's my notes?
Good.
Yeah, there it is. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's fiat money made out of thin air, fractional reserve lending. And that's where.
Good save.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's why he claims he's not a financial.
See, don't listen to me. And by the way, the BS that I have in economics, it's BS.
Love that.
Which was all the institutions. I never got along well with institutionalized learning.
Yeah.
And all of my professors will tell you that. So fiat is just money created out of thin air. That dollar represents, it's actually, if you look at it, it says it's a note, which means it's redeemable by something. And all it really is a debt instrument. And you're basically carrying around notes of debt. And it all goes back to whoever created it. So let's say you put some money in the bank and you want to spend some money. That's all well and good. You put $1 in, the bank itself lends out 9 on top of that. So it has a 10% reserve structure. And where does the 9 come from? It comes from thin air, but it's created through a series. So there's commercial banks that lend to the smaller banks and mid-sized banks. And they all get their money from the commercial window, which is from the central banks. And so when for example, our lawmakers create a new law, well, there's always this budget that goes along with that. Where do they get that money? Well, the Congress says, okay, treasurer, we need more money. We need these X number of billions, trillions. And they say, okay, we don't have it, but we're going to ask the central bank. And the central bank says, sure, here you go, 2%, you can have it. And so that's how that construct works. And it's completely out of thin air. And that's why that system is nearing its end. In fact, it's kind of been over for quite a while. And when you have, we created this, what's called the petrodollar. This goes back to the Bretton Woods Accord, and we're just looking at on your wall, where they decided to go away from the English pound, take everybody's eye and concentration off of the British Empire, and bring it to the new mask over the British Empire, which is called the USA. And they decided to have that as the reserve currency. And the way you develop reserve currency is you get everybody to use it. And how did they do that? They went to Saudi Arabia and gave them a deal. I have a deal for you. And they said, okay, you can buy and sell all of your oil in US dollars, or we'll just take all your shit and then we'll make sure that you're no longer in power of your region. And they said, that's a good deal. And so they did it, and they created what's called the petrodollar. And so every ounce of oil for decades, was like 50 years, was purchased with US dollars. So now the US dollar has a great value. So when a country has a surplus from all their sales, they would then bank all that extra surplus, and they would use US dollars, which are treasury notes, which really helps the US government be Santa Claus to all of us, because we keep wanting more and for nothing. So that's kind of the construct, and that's where we're at. And again, now we're ready for another reset. Resets usually take somewhere between 80 and 120 years. We're in the 82nd year, and it's now time.
So that's why money and oil are so linked.
So linked. And that's why, guess why we were in Venezuela, and guess why we're thinking Cuba and have just taken out Iran.
Right.
Right. So it's all part of it, and we're basically going away from the petrodollar, and we're gonna have what's called a multipolar system, or a bifurcation. And the bifurcation is simply, if you take a look at the map and you have a construct of from Greenland. Oh, I mentioned Greenland, and all the way down to Argentina, and then you have the Eurasia and Africa. And so there's two major continents that are connected. And basically we're all under one financial valuation of the petrodollar against every barrel of oil. And that's going to be separated. And I think you're going to see that pretty soon. And that will only happen because of a new mechanism that's going to take its place. And that's the trade of dollars in a digital format. And that's where everything's about to change. And I don't know if you have any specific questions about that, but everybody seems to be afraid of the digital dollar. And I don't blame you.
I'm one of them.
I don't blame anybody.
One of them
Yeah.
that's afraid of it. Not that I'm afraid of it, but I don't understand it, how that works. And I think what bothers me about it is that then we're now kind of recorded, like everything we do, like who's going to end up being in control of what money I actually can use and not use. That's the part that makes me pretty nervous.
Yeah. And so if you think of this, all money system enables a population to transact with one another. And it enables that and makes it easier. And the control component helps the government stay in control of the process of that. If you look at those money systems that have come and gone, and this one's that's coming, think of it as part of the yin and yang. There's good and there's bad. And there's a fine line in between. And it depends on who's in control and what we allow those controls to be. And so it's really up to us. We just don't believe that.
That makes me feel better. But you're right. I don't, but I'd like to.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've often heard the term vote with your feet. Well, they also vote with your pocketbook. And there's a way to hold those lawmakers accountable to what we actually want to have. And it's really just a way of being in a community of people that happens to span an entire globe. So this new system could be so much better, because what they're going to do, instead of going from a single country's reserve currency and the world's dependency on it, and that one country, the USA, can say, we don't like you burping in my face, and I want you to no longer be able to do the things you're doing, that we don't like what you're doing. and it could be just about anything. And then they shut you off. And that's based on the SWIFT system. And the SWIFT system is ancient, it's old, and it's actually only like texting. That's all it is. It's a texting system, it's messaging. And that's being converted now. It's all been done, it's been launched, it's all set and ready to go into the digital world. So what used to take somewhere between 3 and 6 or 7 days, have about a 6 to 8% failure rate. People didn't even know where the money was going. And when you're doing 1 million, 2 million, $500 million transactions around the world, it can be a little disturbing. But for us who are sending our kids $500 to France, and you find out that it's a very big fee as well. So all of that's about to change, and it's going to go to a neutral bridge currency. And it's all based on digital assets. And if you think of a neutral bridge currency as something in the middle between two sovereign nations' currencies, and it's interoperable, where you're going to pay in your currency, goes through this bridge, and it automatically, the FX market says, oh, it's only worth so much over here, or it's worth more over here. And it converts it automatically into that currency, and everything's figured out, and it takes about 3 to 5 seconds. And so things can be so much better with that type. It also gives sovereignty to every country. Now they can use their own currency to buy whatever it is that's in their best interest. So it's not all bad, but it is programmable money. And that's, I don't blame people for being nervous about that. Again, it's walking the fine line, the yin and yang, and it's how you go about it.
Could you give an example of like the benefits and then maybe the drawbacks? Just kind of a brief.
Sure. So the benefits are you can move money peer to peer from individual to individual in seconds. And you
like
can
Venmo or something like that.
Like Venmo, only Venmo is actually a 3+ day process, which is why they charge you more for over a certain amount, like $500, because there's corresponding intermediaries that are holding cash on hand in order for you to get that cash given to you right away. And so it doesn't cost a lot for them to do that under a certain dollar amount. That's why the threshold is 500.
Okay.
And so that's how that kind of works.
Okay.
This way, it'll be peer-to-peer automatically, and it'll go right into your account. Unfortunately, since 9/11, we can talk about that in another rabbit hole, but since 9/11, we've had KYC, Know Your Customer, and AML, which is anti-money laundering, AML, anti-money laundering. Those are things that you have to give up your identity for that. You'll also have to have a digital identity, which, by the way, most of us already have. We just don't know it. It just hasn't been all put together into what they're calling a digital identity. What that does is it makes sure that when you peer-to-peer pay, you're identified and it's truly you, and you're identified and it's truly you, because it's all about cryptography. That's why they call it crypto.
That I didn't know that.
Yeah. So cryptography is nothing new, and this is kind of fun. If you go back far enough, you have hollowed out drums and sticks, and they're beating drums, and they can hear each other from miles away, and they can communicate because they understand the code, and it's cryptographics. And so, or the American Indian, or I'm sorry, like the Native Americans would use smoke signals and drums and all kinds of things. And then there was Morse code, and so this is nothing new.
Right.
And
It's digital.
yeah, it's all digital.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to say this is all private and who's making what and so on. No, this is the government. If you look at your banking system, like now on the internet, you can if you have ever looked, it's 128 bit decryption. And now what they've done is they've doubled it to 256. And that's all they've basically done. They've made it that much harder. And so you've heard of things like Bitcoin and other kind of tokens that are going to be used for this. And they're all based on that encryption model. But that comes out of things like IDARPA. There's all these different divisions of DARPA, and that's usually made for the DOD or the NSA or the CIA. And they make these things so that they can be developed and used and implemented later. And so
DARPA, I'm not familiar with.
I think I wrote it down in here. I can't remember. It's defense something or other. It's this long list.
I've heard of DARPA, but
Yeah, it's DARPA. It's where did I put it? Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. And so it's the secure hash algorithm, the 256, it's SHA. And so Bitcoin is under that, XRP is under that. And so there's a lot of that's like kind of like the foundation of that. So it's really been created intentionally back in the 70s. This is nothing new to them. It's just new to us, and which they're trying to introduce it to us.
So I have a question.
Sure.
If this is a new system, how do you get everyone to agree
That's a really important
to
point.
use it?
Yeah.
I wondered that too.
In
That's a
all the
great question.
countries, all the countries.
Well, let's go back to the internet itself. And so the internet was a bunch of protocols. And what they did was they created a protocol so that everybody could use it. And it was TCP, and it's like transfer something or other protocol, and transfer control, I think, protocol. And then they added internet protocol /IP. And so that's Internet 1.0. And when you wanted to start to run a business on there, they had to kind of create Internet 2.0. And they created HTTPS and SMBT, so for just the messaging part, and SMS, and all these things were created as protocols to be part of that. Now, what you're going to have is Web 3.0. And Web 3.0 is the Internet of value as opposed to the Internet of information or the Internet of e-commerce.
The
And so-
money internet.
The money internet. Yeah, exactly. It's not just money, it's value, any kind of value. Everything's going to be tokenized, everything is going to be fractionalized. And what that means is that even your digital ID will end up being fractionalized. And you can sell something as a token, maybe worth $1, or it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. And you can take little tiny bits of it and send it to peer-to-peer or to businesses as you transact. So it's going to be pretty flexible. And all of that can be programmed. So, for example, Europe is screwed. Sorry, guys, I just had to say that. They are under a very tight regime. I mean, they're sending people, they have a police unit that goes out, knocks on people's door for Facebook posts, and they can actually end up in jail. And so Europe is in big trouble. And what they have right now is a surveillance state that models ever more the Chinese model. And China has a surveillance state. Let me paint you a picture. This is kind of crazy. So let's say it's 10 o'clock at night, no cars running through, but you're standing on a sidewalk and you have to go to the other side of the street. And there's a street light there and it says, don't walk. Well, in China, do not walk. No matter, no cars coming, nobody's around. If you step off that sidewalk within 2 to 3 steps, because you have CCTV cameras, because your phone has a GPS within a matter of feet, and they have also satellite, and everything's all working together, they can tell exactly where you are. So you've already created a violation. They've already decided what your fine will be, and they've taken it out of your bank account before you reach the other side of the street. That is China today.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the World Economic Forum wants for the entire world. That's the model for Europe. So out of Brussels, they're mirroring that. And that's why the European Union is now mirroring that type of use case for the programmable money. And so you ask good or bad and what could happen. So it's really just a matter of, and the other next thing that they're doing, and that's why the farmers are all they're in an uproar, is because you have the Netherlands and that whole region, this beautiful farmland. Well, they're making more and more restrictions to the farming, so they can't even manage anymore. You know, the farmers are in the street and spraying manure over the the government buildings and filling the roads up, and they're having a real hard time dealing with that. And it's a real problem. And the reason for that is because they're creating 15-minute cities. These are 15-minute cities, so that they're actually border lines. They're all designed. You can find the maps online, and they're taking territory, dividing it all up. You live in a certain quadrant and so forth, and you have so many credits to go into one of the other quadrants or one of the other zones.
The Hunger Games.
Yeah, no,
Right.
that's it.
You know?
Exactly. And this is where it can go really wrong. Fortunately, we the people observing this and getting together and not allowing that by being a voice for everyone else to hear, especially your lawmakers. And, and we had an executive order saying no CBDCs. And then we had this thing called the Genius Act, which allowed stablecoins to be legal. It said no government agency. Well, guess what? The CBDs are created by the Federal Reserve. That's a private entity. It's not government. Yuck, 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 yuck. Just fly past me.
Right.
And run right around that one.
Yeah.
So we have to be aware of what's happening right now. This thing called the Clarity Act is being put in place. It's up. It's stuck in the Senate. Passed through the House. Glowing results. 70+% of the vote of the House. That's a really big thing. Bipartisan. Now it's stuck in one of the two committees. There's the Agricultural Committee and there's the Banking Committee. And it's stuck in the Banking Committee because the largest banks do not want interest to be paid on your stable coin, which is your deposit. And right now you can get yields between 4 and 6%. And what are we getting at our banks right now? 0.0
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, 0.01.
And it's no different than a stable coin.
Wow. Yeah.
So this is
Where'd that go?
And here's the deal. There are certain lawmakers, and I encourage everyone to go find out who are stuck because the banks are paying them more to vote against that than to vote for it. And so for the Clarity Act with stablecoin yield or without it. Genius Act already solved this. There's already yield in the Genius Act. So the Clarity Act is trying to change it. They're trying to backpedal. So we have control if we take it. The three forms of government that we have were designed to be decentralized, and it was required. And the way that our voting system is set up is to be decentralized, much like decentralized finance. It basically takes power out of concentrated areas. And so that's what we have the opportunity to do. And that's the way we can prevent what's happening in Europe and already is well underway in China from happening to us here in the United States. If we start observing it, and we're not getting the press is not reporting on all this stuff. So you have to find it on your own. And I encourage everyone to do that.
I was going to say, we have the advantage of, having internet and having someone like you talk about it and just, letting us know because it's important to speak about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I didn't come up with all this on my own. There's a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
You just have to step outside of your comfort zone. I like to say to folks that the reason I know these things is because I'm someone who doesn't mind watching ice melt.
You said that to me this morning. And I'm like, yeah.
And that's what you have to do.
That.
You have to listen to conversations instead of the 7-second sound bites that were created by, some government agency with 3 letters.
Right. Yeah. And you have to have a long attention span, which I don't always have.
And hit replay.
Yeah. I can
and
do
go
that.
over and take notes.
Yeah.
And no, don't do it. There's tons of resources out there. There's tons of information out there. And we're still not completely censored. We have all kinds of censorship that goes on, but we're not completely censored.
Well, and I think that brings us to that place of looking at it in a positive light.
Mm-hmm.
That,
Fear.
Instead of fear. And, and because the world is waking up a lot more, there's so many more people are starting to understand this. And so many weird things have happened that create that wait a minute, I'm not going to fall for this stuff again. So
I think we all had a recent
you think?
run-in with a little circumstance that lasted a while and cost billions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny, but not funny. What is it? Yeah. But you, not to bring you to the end of the podcast. I don't want it to end yet. But if you could talk about this a little bit, because that's the positivity that I really, I think the world needs to, because it's easy to get overwhelmed and, oh man, how are we going to deal with this? But there's a lot of
Yeah. And it's fairly recent that I've been introduced to this whole idea, what's happening. So Gaia is our best friend. We are so symbiotic with Gaia, if we allow ourselves to be. And she has this mandate over time, which is based on kind of linear time because it's a geophysical thing. It's a cycle that she goes through that's in tune with the other planets and the sun. And we're going through the same cycle with her. And if we could just tune into that really well, we will move along with that. And there's always been this cleansing period, like Lemuria and Atlantis, and then there's the Great Flood and Noah. I just remember that from Bill Cosby's album. Noah, what's a cubit? So if we were to tune into that, we have an opportunity ahead of us. The geophysical rhythm is every 4,000 years. And every 12,000 years, there's the big one. And the 12,000 years comes up in the 2040s, early 2040s. But things seem to be heading in a more rapid pace. We are now having a pole shift, which is where the real climate change is coming from, because climate change is real. And that pole shift is flipping south to north and vice versa. And there's a point in time where the poles aren't completely opposite of each other. They actually will come together at one point, which makes this side weak. And as the Earth rotates and exposes itself to the sun, and there are CMEs that blast to us almost every day, but because the magnetic field gets weak at that far point, we have a much higher risk of melting wires, the copper and whatever other metals are in the wires, which happened in 1850, whatever, the Carrington effect. And we're going to experience plate tectonic shifts and so on when things start to really pull. And it's this big time frame that we're looking at. You can go to beingsonpurpose7.com. I have a whole page set up for this with links, everything. It's the geophysical shift page. There's also a huge opportunity for we humankind to work together with a dimensional shift. I have a link to Elizabeth April on there and others. Absolutely phenomenal opportunity for a cleansing period for us to rid ourselves of what we've allowed to help happen to ourselves and be willing and open to that necessary cleansing, just like you would for a 10-day fast. This one's a little bit bigger. But it's a massive opportunity. Before birth, my three sisters and I were brought together in one family to help this process, to help transition. And we'll be discussing that soon. And it is the reason why all of us are here on Earth right now. There's nothing less important than to become unconditional love within ourselves, for ourselves, love ourselves, so that we can see everybody for who they are and be an example, not only for those who happen to notice. And if we can do that, that alone, that will help turn the tide. There's a percentage. There's 8 billion of us on the planet. The percentage is somewhere around a third. That's a guess. That's been shifting. It was half. Now it's around a third. So guess what? It's in our favor. So the more we stop looking at other people the way we want them to be and as they are, the more we can coexist in a harmonic sense. And that harmony creates a resonance which raises our gathering of light. And this is how we in Gaia can work together to minimize the shift that's coming, the geophysical shift. She wants us to do that. She's been asking for a long time. We just haven't been paying attention. Many have, by the way. I'm not the only one. There's millions of me and others out there that are already well underway in this exact same reason and understanding of why they're here and chose to be here at this time.
I think that's so important to clarify too, that there are millions.
Millions.
And, you know, so like sometimes we feel like, oh, there's just a small group of us that are like doing things, but it's not true. There's a huge mass of people that just get it. And, you know, I wanted to read this sentence that you said.
Sure.
That you know, and just because I think it's so important to like inspire people to not give up, like this, you know, this is a way to, what was the one that I had to, see, now I'm all flustered too, because
so you plan for the worst.
Thank you. Yeah.
And you ascend for the best.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I just, you know, and that's such a positive spin on it, you know, no matter what's going on in the world and what's, you know, what's happened with the frequencies and with Gaia herself. And it's still, there's so much hope. And
and if you want a direct line to two individuals that are out there in a big way representing both of those statements. One is Ben Davidson. He's his podcast, his whole outfit is Space Weather News. And I listen to him every morning. It's less than 4 minutes. And he talks about the CMEs and the plasma and the magnetic field. And he's a scientist, and it's absolutely brilliant. And he brings in all of these other scientists from around the world and he's been talking about this for a long time, and he's absolutely amazing. And then there's Elizabeth April, and she does remote viewing, and she visits and she works with the Galactic Federation of Light, and she brings that other perspective, which is the ascend for the best. And listen to them as I do, and listen to us and everybody you can find. Get your algorithms going, build up that muscle memory, and become unconditional love by loving yourself first. And know that all you have to do is be an example for yourself, and you will resonate with others without even having to say or do anything.
Thank you. Wow. And I know
Very
that it's
well
been
said.
said that the future currency is of the heart. Right?
Yes, it's decentralized. It's meant to be like our Constitution was written and intended. Although that one arrived from day one. But well, that's another story. Which, just as a side, I can go down any rabbit hole. But the First National Bank was a 20-year charter. And guess who backed it? This is our Constitution in 1789. England.
England. Okay.
England, First National Bank.
Yeah,
So,
that's
all is a mystery. Oh, no, it's not.
right.
If you're willing to watch ice melt.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. This is fascinating.
Yeah, it's fun.
No.
It's fun. It's we have so much to look forward to.
Yeah.
And we have so many people that are like-minded and like-hearted.
Mhm.
And let's go have some fun.
Yeah, and listen to as many as you can so you get everybody's opinion.
Yeah, everybody has a little different feel.
Exactly.
And that resonance really matters. And so find your resonance.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add to the listeners, viewers?
No, just that go back in time on this podcast. There's so many individuals who have given their heart to their interest, their interest in certain categories. And we can find ourselves, a little piece of ourselves in each one of them. And so I would recommend that highly. It was a wonderful journey for me.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so we want to just say thank you so much to the listeners for always supporting us, and I feel like we're really growing with this podcast. It's very exciting, but the way to help us keep growing is to make sure that you hit that subscribe button, the like button, and please leave comments so that we can know where to focus our next conversations, so that we can really help everybody with that.
And somebody could hit that button.
Oh, so anyway,
We have your sister
yes,
here.
yeah, that's right. She can help us
Thank
with
you,
that.
Lee.
So where is your intuition? How is your intuition leading you to the next perfect step? Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my God. I kept thinking I should bring my